Welcome to Dios Motor Club. Bill's been kind enough to come out and join the club today, and we're giving him a Dios Motor Club hat later. Bill's brought his 1973 240Z out to tell us all about it and take a look at it. We're going to head over to the car, Bill. I met Bill at Cars and Coffee, and we started talking, and I found his story fascinating. Bill, I asked him why he built this, and we'll talk about it. And he said, you know, my first car that I had was a 240Z. I bought it when I was in Vietnam. And we started talking, and Bill was stationed on an aircraft carrier. And he was a Huey pilot and in the Marine Corps. And we started talking about his first 240Z. But tell us how you first came about on a 240Z on an aircraft carrier in the middle of the ocean.
Well, I was laying in my bunk and going through my mail, and I pulled out my Road and Track magazine and saw this advertisement for a Datsun 240Z. It was when car was brand new. This was early '70, and fell in love with the car immediately and said, "Geez, that's a beautiful body. If it's as halfway as competent as mechanically as it is aesthetically, I got to have one." And so I had a Porsche at home, and they had sports cars and muscle cars and stuff. And I sent my dad that was living at the time in Solana Beach.
Oh wow!
And sent him a couple $100 and said, you know, put deposit on one in Oceanside at the Datsun dealer, and then one a deposit at the San Diego Datsun dealer. And when I got home, I was still working toward heading for the head of the line, but got it. It wasn't exactly this color of yellow. They called it a gold at the time. I thought of it as monkey vomit yellow, but anyway, I had wanted red, white, or silver. And I wanted it bad enough that I was willing to put up with the color of the car, but got it, had it for probably close to 22 years. Drove it a lot and really loved the car. And my son, we moved back from Michigan back to California. My son one day had a problem with his car. He couldn't get it to start. And he said, "Dad, can I drive the Z to work today?" So he worked for an architectural firm down by the Star of India in San Diego, and he parked it, went to work. When he came out, there was an empty parking place there.
And you told me that, and that's how we started our conversation.
Yeah.
You had it for 22 years.
Yeah, and loved it.
And loved it. And you know, here at Dios Motor Club, we like the stories about the cars and why people like them and the specs, but we also like the stories of the people and why they like the cars and their car history. So you had yours stolen that you had for 22 years that you originally saw on an aircraft carrier, and then you know, fast forward and what happened?
Well, like I said, I'd had it for 22 years. It was gone, and so my wife passed away in the end of 2014, and my son said, "Hey, Dad, what are you going to do?" And I said, "I don't know. I'll probably do some travel and stuff like that, you know." And he said, "Why don't you build another Z?" And I said, "Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I've still got a lot of parts left over." And so I started looking around for one, and found one up in Orange County. I didn't like the color, and I pretty much wanted to build it back to the car that I would have built if I'd have not had to deal with all the smog and legal stuff, the first one, back in the day. It doesn't jump out at you, but the car when it came out had a lot of badging on it, and I didn't like any of it.
Yeah.
And so I took all of the badging off. There were side marker lights up in front of the wheels here.
Yeah. So basically, you had a side marker here.
Side marker here.
And there was one back here also.
Side marker here.
Yeah.
Back here.
So you cleaned it up.
Took them off. Welded the hole shut. The bumpers on the car are brand new. They're made out of stainless steel. And being a 73, the bumper on this sat out, probably 3 or 4 inches away from the body. Yeah. So I got a set of the old brackets that mounted the bumper, moved the bumpers, both of them, back to where they would have been if the car was a 72 or a 71.
Yeah.
Car's got European tail lights. Car's got a later model, but a spoiler taken off of the original Nissan spoiler, rear spoiler that they made. It's also got a spook up in the front, which is like a splitter. Put in a new grille that covers the whole opening, whereas the 240Z had the grill bars only went above the bumper, and down below the bumper there was nothing.
Right.
And Talbot or Talbot mirror.
Okay.
It's got L28 280Z windshield wipers, which are lower. One of the problems you get also when you go fast with a 240Z is the windshield wipers tend to lift up because of the air gets under them, and they don't do anything for getting the water off the windshield.
Something to remember if you're looking for a 240Z.
Yeah, and they're direct, just take them off and put these on. These are underslung, whereas the arms for the 240s went up and came down into the top of the wiper.
Well, let's take a look at what you've done to the engine here too, because the outside is beautiful, and it really looks close to stock unless you know what you're looking for. But tell us about the motor here.
The motor is a mixture of all kinds of parts, but it's primarily a L28 or a 280Z block with a 240Z head, a Canon intake manifold with 3 Weber DCOE40 side draft carburetors. It's got a Pertronix ignition in it, and also a Koyo-Rad aluminum cross-flow radiator versus the one that was stock. The battery is a GM battery, GM style battery, and has the connections rather than lugs on the top of the battery. It bolts into the side of the battery. Got this cross brace that strengthens the car up a little bit. Chromed a lot of stuff. You can see the booster on the brakes is chromed, and a lot of the hardware is chromed. Also, have got the foam air cleaner and Willwood brakes. This is a Willwood master cylinder, and the Willwood disc brakes are on all 4 corners.
Oh wow! So it drives quite a bit different than your original 240Z.
It does. It does. The original had disc brakes on the front and drum brakes on the back. This is disc brakes all the way around, so it doesn't have the kind of brake fade.
So you basically built the car. I mean, it still looks quite stock, and we'll take a look at the interior. You've got the 5-point harnesses and the roll bar in it.
Right.
But it's very stock looking, unless you're a Z expert, obviously. But so
everything inside the car is brand new.
And I didn't even notice right away that they weren't 240Z seats. I knew they were upholstered different, but very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, we put slots in the headrests on the Z's so that the belts could go through the headrest rather than around. All of the door panels and all of the interior pieces are all custom fabricated. These are not stock. These have been reupholstered. The interior had a diamond tufted or diamond patterned vinyl on it, and I was not much in love with that, so we took that out and put the cut pile carpeting in. It's got a Momo steering wheel, and the one other thing that probably we need to talk about, just because it was where I really found out what making a car like this was involved, was this gas cap. I'd always wanted to have this kind of a gas cap.
Quick fill type.
Yeah. And couldn't find one that was the scale that I wanted. All of the ones that I would see would be made for Cobras and stuff, and they were substantially larger in diameter. So I found one that was starting to be imported into the United States, and it's made out of brass, chrome-plated brass rather than aluminum.
It looks great.
And the plumbing, to plumb it so that it went in and went down into the gas tank without breaking the plastic panels that are all inside of the back end of the car. We had to really do some work, and my little $450 gas cap ended up costing me about $5,000.
Oh my goodness, that's how it always gets going though with cars, right?
When I got done, yeah.
I always say you come up with an idea and it seems like it's simple, and then it gets bigger.
Never simple, yeah.
So I got 3 questions for you, because you and I talked earlier. One is, you said you had a Porsche, so the Porsche guys are, I got to bring it up. What type of Porsche did you have when you bought the 240Z?
Well, I had a 912.
Okay.
That I bought when I was in flight school. I was a young second lieutenant just out of college and just commissioned, and I was making $9,000 a year, and I wanted a Porsche, but even back then Porsches were expensive, and when I found out what it took to do a tune-up on a 911, I said.
But the Z was probably your first 240Z. It was probably as fast, if not faster, than the 912, was it not?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then also you mentioned that a couple other things that I found interesting. You've been racing with a friend, and you started actually doing some track days. Is that correct?
Not track days. What we're doing is we're racing open road racing.
Oh, okay.
And that there are 3 places in the United States where they open road race.
Okay.
One is Nebraska in the Sand Hills.
Yeah. Another
one is down in the Big Bend area of Texas, and the third is out of Ely, Nevada, in central Nevada. The DMV, the Nevada DMV and Highway Patrol shuts down a commercial road during the weekend, and we get out there and race, trying to go fast with our cars. So yeah,
is it as much fun as flying a Huey?
It's pretty fun.
Is it?
Yeah,
right, there you go, people. Most of us haven't gotten to fly a Huey. Do you mind if I pop this and show one other thing? I love documentation, and this has got everything in it, from the time you brought it back to working on it. Here it is off the frame being painted. Just incredible pictures. I love the documentation, and obviously Bill loves his 240Zs. But there was another book. Yeah, here it is. Maybe Bill can show us, because I know even though you got a new one, you still remember your old one. This is the Z Enthusiasts book, and right here you have a picture of Bill's original 240Z that unfortunately was stolen after 22 years. And there's another picture also, isn't there, of you next to the car?
Oh yeah, there are pictures throughout there.
Oh, is there? Yeah, maybe we can find that one. And who is this? Which one is you, Bill? Well, right here. There's Bill with his original 240Z. That is a love affair with the 240Z, and car stories are what are great. It's not just about how cool the car looks and what it does. It's about the people behind them and their experiences too. Bill, thank you for coming out to Dios Motor Club. I really enjoyed having you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, very cool.